All right, this is the third video of the 3 types of word problems in Learning Target 6. In my opinion, this one is the easiest of the 3. Virtually, these problems will all come down to the statement in yellow here. If you add individual rates, it will equal the combined working together rate. So the problems will be of this type. If John can paint a fence in 4 hours and David can paint a fence in 6 hours, how long would it take them to paint the same fence if they worked together? Well, if John can paint the fence in 4 hours, then his rate of work is one fence every 4 hours, or he can finish 1/4 of the job every hour. So either way you look at it, his work rate is 1/4. And David can paint the same fence in 6 hours. So his work rate is 1/6. Working together is the question. How long would how long would it take them to work together? Well, if it took them, say, 2 hours working together, their work rate would be 1/2. If it took them 3 hours, their work rate would be 1/3. Speaking of these numbers, 2 and 3, I want to mention before we finish the question what logically makes sense. Would the answer that we're looking for be bigger than 4, be bigger than 6, smaller than 4, smaller than 6? What's reasonable in this situation? Because a lot of people will look at 4 and 6 and they'll just say x equals 5, because they'll average the 4 and 6. Now 5's not reasonable, because if it takes John 4 hours to paint the fence in the first, it won't take him longer, 5 hours, it won't take him longer to do it when he has help. So the only reasonable answer would be below 4. So we're looking for a number smaller than 4. But back to the whole work rate issue. Working together, if it took them 2 hours, it'd be a work rate of 1/2. Working together, if it took them 3 hours, a work rate would be 1/3. So when I don't know, the work rate is 1/x. Again, if you add individual rates, it will equal the combined rate. So if I take 1/4 and add 1/6, it will equal 1/x. Now you might want to pause the video at this moment and see what do you think you should do to finish this problem. Because some people will have different thoughts. Some will multiply by the LCD, 24x. And yes, it will work, but it's probably a little more complicated than it needs to be, because 1/4 and 1/6 can be added using your calculator or using common denominators of 12. And when you add them, you get 5/12. 5/12 equals 1/x. Now, I also get a lot of people telling me that the answer is 5/12. Well, be careful. 5/12 represents the work rate. So you cross multiply 5 times x, 12 times 1, and 5x will equal 12 times 1. So x divided by 5, x is 12 divided by 5. Now you wouldn't really say that because this is a real world problem, so you go ahead and give the decimal 2.4 answer. So 2.4 hours. Work rate problems in general all work like this. The next problem below illustrates the same concept, except the missing information is an individual rate. So it does change slightly, but not a lot. So pause the video if you need to read the problem. But it says that the seniors can complete the job, one house every 24 days. So the seniors' work rate is 1/24. The junior class, it doesn't provide. However, it says together they can paint the house they can complete the house in 18 days. So 1/18 is their working together rate. But I don't know the individual junior class rate. So I don't know how many days, but their rate would be 1/x. Again, adding individual rates will equal the combined working together rate. So 1/24, that work rate, when added to the other individual work rate, will equal the combined over 18 work rate. Hopefully you see this question. Again, pause it if you would like to try, what am I going to do in this situation before I, ruin the surprise and tell you what I would do to solve this problem. You could multiply the LCD, or hopefully you notice that 1/24 and 1/18 are just numbers, and you can subtract 1/24 to both sides. And when you do, you get 1/x equals, I'll actually do this one in the calculator to show you the buttons if you've forgotten. Common denominator, of course, could also subtract these fractions, but in Algebra 2, we're focused more on the algebra side. 1 over 18 minus 1 over 24. Enter that decimal, math enter, would be the fraction 1 over 72. So you could cross multiply, or you can just see the ones match up. So x is 72. Cross multiply would say x equals 1 times 72, so x equals 72. So the answer, it would take the junior class 72 days to complete the job. Now, is that reasonable? Now that we have our two answers, 24 and 72, we can now compare it to the original 18 working together. And yes, 18 is smaller than both 24 and 72, so it does fit the fact that it should take them a shorter amount of time when they work together. But that is work rates, and they all work pretty well the same, where the individual work rates add to equal the combined work rate.